An historic event as Yarden Gerby pulls off a bronze medal in the sport of judoka at this year's Rio Olympic Games. But the Olympics has other significance for Jews across the world as we remember something extraordinary which should never have happened.
Word we get from the airport is that, quote, all hell is broken loose out there, that there is still shooting going on, that all seems to be confusion. Nothing is nailed down. We have no idea what has happened to the hostages.
Terrorists turned their guns on their hostages. Once the firing stopped, all 9 of the Israeli hostages, a German policeman, and 5 of the 8 terrorists were dead.
9 were killed at the airport tonight. They're all gone.
So once again, it looks like the Israeli and Jewish Olympics for 2016 will be more remembered for the incident where the Lebanese group didn't want the Israeli group to join them on a bus trip to the stadium for the opening ceremony, or perhaps the Egyptian who rather remarkably refused to shake hands, which is seemingly part and parcel of the sport, with his Israeli opponent. Surely one day we can get politics out of sport? Yeah, some chance, eh?
The Australian government has suspended its aid to the Palestinian territories through the international charity World Vision. The decision came after Israel charged the Gaza director of World Vision, Mohammed al-Halabi, for allegedly diverting the funds to Palestinian resistance movement Hamas.
So finally, it would seem that the Australian government has realised that the government of Gaza, i.e. Hamas, are not to be trusted, at least not where World Vision funds are concerned. But how many other charities are being extorted for the benefits of terrorists? That is the question.
ملايين الدولارات تحولوا لإقامة مشاريع، مساعدة إسكان، وحتى مواد غذاء للمحتاجين. سرقتهم حماس وحوالاتهم للجناح العسكري، للبناء، معسكرات، زيادة معاشات وحفر أنفاق الموت اللي تكون سبب الرئيسي لتدميركم وتدمير غزة كلها.
So World Vision's problems has prompted our friends at Jewish News to ask other Jews the question, would they think twice about donating to AIDS charities in the future?
Yes, because I'm not sure that all the donated funds end up in the places that you're donating to.
Yes. Well, I think that the money that we're donating should go to the place that we're donating to, and I also worry about how much is being taken in administration fees and how much actually gets to the charity.
Absolutely, because I don't want to know where they go to.
Yes.
There are some legitimate and others where it's going to terrorist organisations. There's no way I'm going to support them.
No, I think recent events shows how careful they need to be in seeing where their money goes. And it's a shame that they haven't had that rigidity in the past.
And it is good to see that Russian Jews living here in Australia have their own YouTube channel. This week we are remembering the Russian Jews that would have been killed during the German invasion of the USSR in World War II.
We know that when it comes to remembering what happened to our people in general and specifically in our own generations, we have the very important mitzvah, the very important Torah command that tells us zachor, that we have to remember. And that's what we're doing here today. We are remembering, we're doing something positive and something in action to remember the martyrs of our people. And particularly this afternoon we are remembering the victims of the Holocaust that were the residents of the USSR, the former USSR. I don't know how many of the victims, how many of the martyrs of our people would have even known that a country such as Australia existed. And yet here we are, here in Australia, coming into a shul and remembering them here. And I think that's a very, very beautiful thing. No matter what our enemies try to do to destroy us, wherever we are, we still continue to exist.
Hi, Claude Sherrod here from Africa Media Australia. In this interview, I spoke with David Marlow from the Jewish Community Council of Victoria, JCCV.
So one aspect of this interview which struck me was the interest that the African community has in how poorly represented their community and possibly others are in mainstream media here in Australia.
Australia rates very well when it comes down to multiculturalism and diversity, but when you look at the media, it has remained defiantly Anglo-Saxon. Why do you think that is the case?
Senior roles in media tend to be very male-dominated as well, so it's not just that they're white Australian Anglo sort of background, but and even when you do get some with a different background, they don't necessarily get into senior enough levels to have much of an influence. But yeah, it's a fair call that the at senior media levels and mainstream media is not very representative of the general community. It's like trying to get women at the senior roles. It's very hard to push them. The private enterprises do their own thing. Different in ABC, SBS, you can have an influence on them in the community to get them to be more reflective of the community, which they tend to be. There's a bit more in mainstream media with people like Waleed Ali, but then they start to get proportionally too much voice in one person because he's it.
Yes.
But we do have, and it's important in media, not just in the news or current affairs, but also in TV shows, to have the shows reflect more of the general community. Because I think having role models and having all Australians be considered mainstream is really important, and that's what multiculturalism, I think, in Australia is about. That all Australians are mainstream, not just a collection of different multicultural groups that are all separate and don't feel like they belong. It's important that everyone feels like they belong because they do.